So now we have the second major of 2018 to be announced. What do you think should Valve choose? I mean, what place would you pick?
I think it has to be somewhere in Europe, right? We've obviously got the North American major to start off the year in Boston, so I think it would make sense for it to be somewhere in Europe. We got a lot of fans out here, and if Blast is any indication, I think somewhere in the Nordic region would make sense. Lots of fans there. So yeah, somewhere in Europe.
And how about major in Poland? Another major in Poland. What do you think?
Yeah, look, the fans always turn out there in Poland. We always had it in Katowice, right? Now that we have that as a standalone event, it was fantastic. Krakow was good in its own. Everyone showed up once again, and that was a good time. In terms of getting another one coming this soon, I don't know if we will. I think we'll probably see it somewhere else, but definitely in the future we'll be having majors in Poland again.
Now we have 2 majors a year. Do you think that it should be changed? I mean, do we need more majors?
I think 2 is probably enough. For me, it's more about where the majors are in the year. I think they can frame the year into 2 separate seasons, but for me, I think the first major of the year should be in June, and the second one should be in November. And that way we can have all of our online seasons, all of our tournaments kind of leading up to the major, and from there it would frame the year in a much better light than what we currently have to deal with, which is just a mess coming out of player breaks, unfortunately.
And how about qualifiers? Is it now, do we have the best way to do it, or it should be changed?
I think we're definitely constantly learning, right? We're growing, and the game is evolving, the format is evolving, it can always be touched up, it can always be looked at. I don't think we have the best format by any means right now. I think we could probably have a system where playing in all these other major tournaments, like ESL 1 or an IEM, or like a DreamHack Masters, something like that, leading into the major cycle could work as points for teams to get to major qualifiers or get invited. I don't necessarily think we need 8 legend teams anymore. I think we need to make sure when we have minors, we're having proper qualification processes, especially for regions like Asia, because Counter-Strike is a global game now, and we need to be taking the majors a little bit more seriously. And I think the only one who could do that is Valve. So we're kind of at their whim, we're kind of at their mercy. Hopefully they see the light and eventually we start changing the way we do things. But if not, I'm still happy with the way things are. Counter-Strike's in a good place. Yeah.
So speaking about Legends status, would you suggest, for example, lowering the teams to 4 maybe?
Maybe 4, yeah. I haven't really put a lot of thought into it. You could even do the top 2 teams from a major get the automatic invite, right? Because it's so competitive right now. I just think we need to make sure we're dedicating a little bit more time to the majors. I could see an entire month just for minors, major qualifiers, the major itself. You could build a fantastic amount of content. Teams would be able to play and practice against a lot of different teams. There's a lot of cool things you could do with it. Just right now, the calendar is so oversaturated, the only one who can really change that is Valve. And when I say oversaturated, I mean there's so many events, there's so much choice, and the teams want to play in everything. They don't have to play in everything. They need to be a little bit more selective. I think there's a lot of Counter-Strike for Tier 1, for Tier 2, and now even more so we're getting to Tier 3 events, which is fantastic.
And speaking about a specific event, I mean, what should be the system of the, let's say, another major? I mean, is Swiss format good for the players, for the teams?
I don't know if there is one right format. I don't know if there will ever be one right format. Obviously, you can look towards the international with Dota. That is the be-all and end-all. That is one of the biggest events, and I always think when they do that, they get the best team because they have best of 3, they have a really long, extensive group stage where no one gets knocked out. You do things like that, you're going to guarantee a higher caliber of Counter-Strike, and the game evolves throughout the tournament. And that's one thing I think is really cool. I think with the major, that is maybe the direction we should be going because it is the pinnacle of Counter-Strike. In terms of the Swiss system, I don't mind it. It's okay. Each to their own. I think it's great that we have so many different tournaments with so many different events. But for the major itself, we're still working out the best direction, right? We're not there yet.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you.